welcome back to another episode of Arrakis Central. Please remember, if you like this content, to like and subscribe to this channel. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the absence of robots and AI within the Dune universe and why that is. In the most recent Dune film, it is shown in the beginning of the film that the year is 10,191. But this is deceptive, as this is the year of after the establishment of the Spacing Guild. Dune is set approximately 20,000 years in the future and makes it much more farther down the line than what we think about in the movies. In the events leading up to the Balerian Jihad, thousands of years before, in fact, humans were developing faster than light space travel and using AI computers to run the calculations for that deep space travel. Now, this era is commonly referred to as the Old Empire. Well, later on in those times, aristocrats were becoming, very bored and tired of the Old Empire, the government, and they felt like they could take over. Well, the main protagonist of this overthrow was a man named Andrew Scorlus, which would later become known as General Agamemnon. A group of 20 aristocrats would come to change their names, identify with ancient historical figures, and they would basically work alongside the Omnis, which is the AI overmind, to overthrow humanity and to take over and enslave the rest of the free world. With the help of the AI overmind, the Omnis, they would essentially take over the gluttonous, pretty much seen as useless human government and enslave humanity. Later on, they would find their bodies were too weak and fragile and they could no longer extend their lives, so they would discard their bodies for putting their brains in canisters, thus becoming known as the Cymex. Agamemnon was not the only one to discard his body, but his longtime lover, Juliana Perry, which would change her name to Juno, was the one that actually convinced him to stop the life extension process and just go ahead and become Cymex and put their brains into cyborg canisters. So their new Cymex bodies would consist of killing machines that could be used to assault planets, cities, any type of resistance that was out there amongst the controlled systems. They would be able to move their canisters from walker mechs into spaceships, into different types of mechanical bodies, and these would take different forms, and they would basically use their personal preference on what their machine would look like. So the important part of this was that the Cymex ended up gaining control over humanity. Humans that weren't killed were enslaved, and then they would use the Omnis AI thinking machines to manage those systems. And eventually the AI would take over and supersede the Cymex. But they wanted to destroy them, but there was fail-safes in the Cymex that wouldn't allow them to be destroyed by the AI. So that being said, it was sort of a love-hate relationship between the Cymex and the AI. They would kind of help each other. They hated each other. But this would go on as kind of a symbiotic relationship until the events of the Balerian Jihad. Now, the events of the Balerian Jihad take place essentially between 3 books. And these books were not written by Frank Herbert, but by his son. And the first 3 books that really talk about everything I've shown in this video so far start with the Balerian Jihad, the Machine Crusade, and the Battle of Corin. And those are the 3 main books that encompass the Balerian Jihad. And then the books after that talk about the aftermath and how the Imperium starts getting formed in the Landsrats. the catalyst for the beginning of the Butlerian Jihad, meaning the human war against the AI to take back the planets, their systems, to wipe AI out completely. It pretty much starts with Serena Butler. So Serena Butler is a captured noble from a free world, and she's captured, sent to Earth, and then she's essentially tormented by a independent AI scientist, so to speak, named Erasmus. And he is fascinated by humans. He has no remorse for them. He treats the slaves like they're insects. He'll kill them on a whim. But he finds her interesting because she is noble, has very, very good education, and doesn't put up with much nonsense as the human slaves that they have in cages all around their empire, what do you want to call it, the synchronized worlds. They're very docile, scared, fight for scraps. They're very tormented slaves. But she was grown up free woman on some of the safe planets, so he finds that intriguing, and then he wants to keep her around as a toy, an interesting toy to him. And she is pregnant during her time of capture from Xavier Harkonnen, from the Harkonnen family, due to marry him during this time. She gives birth to her son in captivity under the control of Erasmus, and then she becomes very protective over her son, of course. And during that time, Erasmus becomes annoyed, eventually wants all the attention back to him from Serena Butler, and then takes her son and throws him off the balcony and killing him. He's a toddler, and the entire slave encampment that's local to that area sees the entire thing, and of course starts the human uprising on Earth. These events unfold. She escapes with Florian Atreides and then another gentleman that was basically a ringleader of the slaves, and then they get back to Seleucus Secundus, and then the war starts from there. So those events are all in the books, and much more in detail, of course. So at the end of the war, when humanity basically takes back their freedom, wiping out the final synchronized world, they vow to ban all advanced AI, and in fact it becomes a religious cult which had developed during the war that sees that is put into place to certain levels, and not everyone is on board with it, but that actually becomes law, where you cannot have machines that are too advanced, so basic machines allowed at certain points. So that is basically why humanity in the current Dune movie and in the books, fast forward 10,000 years, why you don't see any droids, robots, any advanced computers, and is actually one of the reasons why you have the human thinking computers, the Mentats, which is shown in the film, if you did not know, by Piter DeBreeze, and that's working for the Baron Harkonnen. He dies basically when he's poisoned by the tooth. And then the House Atreides Mentat, which is Thufir Hawat, which you've seen in the latest 2021 film, working alongside Duke Leto. And these are their basically human thinking machines. Humans that have trained their mind to be almost as calculative as a computer. So that's what those gentlemen, that's when you see their eyes rolling in the back of their head during the films and all that, and they're very calculating. It's because of that. That's what they were raised to be. But in closing, that is the reason why in Dune there's no AI machines or droids or any robots of any kind being used anywhere. It's because of all those events of the Butlerian Jihad, the Cymex, and the ominous AI thinking machines basically enslaving humanity, and humanity later on vowing to never allow that to happen ever again. But if you do like this content, make sure to like and subscribe. I know that was a condensed version of those books. You really will have to read those books to get all the information. It's actually a lot of information to put out in videos. It would take many videos to do that. And I don't want to ruin all the spoilers on this channel either for people that want to read them. So thank you, and I will see you next time.